What if I told you that right now, sitting inside an ordinary-looking pocket change, there could be a tiny piece of history worth more than a luxury house? A coin so small it slips between your fingers, yet its true value can transform an ordinary person into a legend overnight. These are not just coins. These are treasures forged in American history, born from the heart of the US. Mint, and today, right here, we're going to uncover the rarest, most powerful, and jaw-dropping Washington quarters that the auction world has been buzzing about. Viewers, this is True Coin Value, the channel where trust, truth, and treasure collide. We bring you real stories, verified facts, and daily updates from the auction market. No fiction, no fluff. Just faithful and newly updated reports straight from the collector's world. So stay with me. Don't blink. Because the quarters you're about to see may look like ordinary coins to the untrained eye, but inside them lies wealth, rarity, and mystery so powerful that collectors fight tooth and nail to own them. And at the very end of this video, when I reveal their staggering values, you'll realize that finding one of these coins is nothing less than holding a piece of America's treasure chest in your hand. Let's begin. Coin number 1. The story of the 1973 Washington quarter begins in an era of American history full of political changes, cultural shifts, and minting perfection. By the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint had already perfected the Washington quarter design, a coin that had become the backbone of American currency since 1932. Struck primarily in copper-nickel-clad composition, these coins weren't meant to be rare. They were made for circulation, for millions of hands, for decades of use. But every once in a while, an unusual survivor emerges. A coin that defies the odds. A coin that writes its own chapter in history. Now imagine this. The Denver Mint in 1973 striking millions of Washington quarters, each designed to be flawless, each intended to simply serve commerce. But amid the press of machines, one quarter survives with peculiar scrapes across its obverse. Not just any scrapes, markings that give it a unique identity, a fingerprint of history. Instead of being destroyed or rejected, this coin slipped through, entered circulation, and against all odds, managed to survive decades without being lost or destroyed. This is no ordinary quarter. This 1973D, carrying its battle scars on the obverse, stands today in very fine condition, a rarity in itself. The mint mark D tells us it was born in Denver, but its journey has elevated it far beyond a common circulation coin. The scrapes, far from reducing its appeal, have become the very hallmark that sets it apart, making collectors whisper and investors pay attention. Why is it rare? Because most Washington quarters from 1973 are worth only their face value, 25 cents. Millions exist. But when you take a coin in this exact condition, with these very specific obverse markings, and it survives untouched into today's collector's market, it transforms from a coin into a treasure. Collectors crave not just perfection, but uniqueness. And this coin is a one-of-a-kind survivor. Now here comes the part that shocks the unprepared. The current market value of this coin is an astounding $95,000. Yes, you heard me right, 95,000 US dollars. This is not fantasy, not speculation. This is the real treasure of today's auction market. A coin once worth just a quarter now stands as a fortune, a life-changing prize. Finding one in your collection would be like holding a key to wealth in your hand, a treasure chest condensed into the size of a single Washington quarter. And what's even more exciting is that its value isn't fixed. It's rising. Day by day, week by week, the demand grows stronger. Collectors understand its rarity, investors know its potential, and the auction houses are recording figures that climb higher with each passing year. This coin is no ordinary collectible. It's a living, breathing investment, a treasure whose worth is growing as you watch this very video. So what does this mean for collectors? If you have a 1973 Washington quarter, check it closely. Look for the scrapes on the obverse, study its condition, and never underestimate its potential. Because what may appear like a small imperfection to some can be the very reason a coin becomes priceless. This is the beauty of numismatics: hidden value, disguised wealth, treasures waiting in plain sight. In conclusion, the 1973 with obverse scrapes in very fine condition is not just a coin. It's a big treasure in your pocket, a piece of history that holds the power of a fortune. It proves once again that in the world of coin collecting, surprises are endless, and every pocket change could be hiding a miracle. Next up, the year was 1959. America was entering a new era. Alaska had just become the 49th state, and Hawaii was about to follow. Television was reshaping entertainment. Rockets were breaking into the skies, and deep within the U.S., quarters were being struck that would go on to become everyday companions of a booming nation. But hidden within the millions of quarters minted that year at the Denver Mint was something few could ever imagine: a survivor that would one day emerge not as a simple piece of pocket change, but as a crown jewel of numismatics. This is the story of the 1959 Washington quarter, a coin that blends history, rarity, and an extraordinary twist of survival. Now let's step back and understand the background. The Washington Quarter series, introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, was originally struck in 90% silver. But by 1959, the coin still retained this silver-rich composition, a gleaming mix of 90% silver and 10% copper. This is crucial because it gave these coins not just utility, but intrinsic value. Every quarter from this era was a miniature piece of silver wealth. But among them, only a few have the power to break free from the crowd and enter the world of legends. What makes this specific 1959 unique? At first glance, one might see the brown spots across its surface. Some might think of them as flaws, but in the world of collectors, they tell a story. These natural toning marks are the silent testimony of decades gone by. They show that the coin has not been harshly cleaned or stripped of its originality. It has aged like fine wine, developing a patina that enhances its authenticity. Combined with its fine condition, this coin holds a rare blend of honesty and rarity, which is exactly what the market craves. Think of it this way. Most 1959 quarters were spent, worn down to nothing, melted for their silver, or simply forgotten in jars and drawers. But this one, carrying its D-Mint mark from Denver and its distinguished natural brown spotting, stands today as a beacon of rarity. It's not just a quarter, it's a witness to American history, to 6 decades of change, survival, and hidden value. Now, here comes the moment that separates treasure from pocket change. The current market value of this 1959 Washington quarter in fine condition with its unique spotting is an eye-widening $120,000 to $500. Yes, $120,500 for what once was a simple 25-cent coin. Think about that transformation from a silver quarter meant to buy bubblegum or groceries in 1959 to an artifact of wealth today that can shake the floor of any auction house. And here's the truth. Its value isn't standing still. It is climbing. With each year that passes, as more collectors recognize the rarity of these survivors and fewer coins remain in this condition, the price is pushed higher and higher. This isn't just a collectible, it's an appreciating treasure, a living investment. Waiting even one more year could mean watching its value leap beyond imagination. For collectors, the lesson is powerful. Never overlook imperfections. What some may call flaws are often the very traits that define a coin's uniqueness. The brown spots on this 1959 D quarter are not damage. They are its character, its passport to rarity. They set it apart from the millions of others, giving it the fingerprint of time that makes collectors fight to own it. In conclusion, the 1959 D Washington quarter, in fine condition with its signature brown spots, is far more than metal. It is a big treasure, a slice of history, and a fortune condensed into silver and copper. It proves that the past is not gone. It's alive in these coins, waiting for the right eyes to discover their true value. And here's the faithful truth. If you ever come across a 1959 quarter, don't dismiss it. Inspect it. Treasure it. Because hidden in what looks ordinary may be a coin worth more than a lifetime of paychecks. This is the miracle of numismatics, the miracle of true coin value. Next up, the year was 1986, a year of bold change and bright milestones in America. The Statue of Liberty celebrated its centennial restoration. The Space Shuttle program was pushing the limits of exploration, and the U.S. Mint was striking quarters that most people thought of as nothing more than spare change. But within that year's minting at the Denver facility, something extraordinary was born. And today, one of those survivors stands as one of the most remarkable treasures in modern coinage. The 1986 D Washington quarter in very clear condition. Let's rewind and understand the background. By the mid-1980s, Washington quarters were no longer struck in silver. Since 1965, the mint had shifted to copper-nickel-clad composition, an inner core of copper bonded with an outer layer of copper-nickel. These were meant to be durable, everyday workhorse coins, not hidden treasures. Millions rolled out of the Denver Mint in 1986, intended for circulation in vending machines, grocery stores, and the pockets of ordinary citizens. No one in that year could have imagined that a single quarter would one day rise to become an elite collectible worth tens of thousands of dollars. So what makes this particular coin stand apart? Its very clear condition. Most quarters from the 1980s are found scratched, dinged, worn, or beaten by decades of circulation. They're common everywhere. But when a coin from that era survives in a state so sharp, so clear, so crisp in strike that it feels like it defied the very march of time, that coin crosses the line from common to legendary. Collectors crave rarity, but they also crave purity of condition. The sharpness of detail on Washington's portrait, the clarity of the eagle's wings on the reverse, the mirror-like surfaces untouched by wear. These elements elevate the 1986 D quarter from spare change to museum-quality treasure. Imagine it. A coin struck in the millions, yet only a handful survived in such clarity, making them rarer than diamonds in the eyes of the numismatic world. And now, let's talk about what collectors really want to know: value. The current market value of this 1986 D Washington quarter, in very clear condition, is $83,000. Yes, you heard that right. $83,000 for a coin most people assume is worth just 25 cents. That's the breathtaking truth of the coin world. Treasures hide in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to discover them. But here's what's even more exciting. This is not the ceiling. Auction records continue to break, and the value of this coin is climbing steadily. Each year that passes, as collectors fight to secure one of the rare survivors, the price is pushed higher. This is not a collectible that sleeps, It's a rising tide of value, a treasure chest that keeps filling itself. To hold one is not only to own a piece of history, but to hold a future investment whose worth only grows with time. For collectors, here is the lesson: never underestimate modern coins. Too often, we think only the old silver issues carry the big value. But the truth is, even a 1986 quarter can become a life-changing discovery when preserved in extraordinary condition. The US. Mint may have struck millions, but the condition is what separates fortune from face value. Always look closely at your coins, especially those from the later decades. You never know when you're staring at an $83,000 treasure. In conclusion, the 1986 D Washington quarter, in very clear condition, is more than just a collectible. It's proof that miracles exist in modern pocket change. It's a big treasure disguised as ordinary currency, a shining example of why the world of coin collecting continues to thrill, surprise, and reward the faithful. This coin is not just valuable, it's a growing investment, a legacy, and a fortune condensed into copper and nickel. And here's the truth you can trust. At True Coin Value, we bring you these discoveries because they are real, verified, and happening right now in the auction market. No fiction, no fluff, just treasures waiting for discovery. Next up, 1964. Just hearing that year sends a spark through every serious coin collector's heart. Why? Because 1964 marked the end of an era. This was the last year that Washington quarters were struck in 90% silver. After this, the mint shifted to clad coinage, forever changing the landscape of American currency. For that reason alone, every 1964 quarter carries historic weight. But within that iconic year, a handful of survivors stand apart, and among them shines the remarkable 1964 D Washington quarter with unique brown layers, preserved in very fine condition. Let's take a step back into history. America in 1964 was a country in transition. The Civil Rights Act was signed into law. The Beatles had just arrived in the US, and the mint was working at full force to produce coins to keep up with the nation's booming economy. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Washington quarters that year. On the surface, these coins were meant to be ordinary, circulating money for everyday use. But history had another plan. Why is this particular 1964 D quarter so extraordinary? The secret lies in its brown layers. Over decades, natural oxidation and toning built up across its silver-copper surface, creating unique, rich brown patterns that give this coin its character. Far from diminishing its appeal, this layered toning enhances its rarity. Every collector knows, no two naturally toned coins look alike. These brown layers are like a fingerprint, a one-of-a-kind signature written by time itself. Combined with its very fine condition, this quarter stands as a survivor that balances both history and individuality. Now let's talk composition. Being a 1964 quarter, this coin is struck in 90% silver, already giving it a base of intrinsic wealth. But intrinsic value is just the beginning. What truly transforms it into a treasure is its rarity in this condition with such unique brown layers. Most 1964 quarters were melted for their silver, spent until they were worn smooth or lost to time. To find one in very fine condition, with toning that makes it unlike any other, is to discover a masterpiece disguised as pocket change. And here comes the revelation that takes this coin from history to treasure. The current market value of this 1964 D Washington quarter with brown layers in very fine condition is a staggering $115,000. Yes, $115,000. A coin that once slipped easily into pockets for a quarter's worth of goods now commands a value so high it could change lives. But here's the faithful truth. It doesn't stop there. Its value is rising year by year as collectors fight harder to secure the last remaining survivors of the silver era. This isn't just a collectible, it's a living treasure, an investment that grows richer with time. Every auction, every sale proves it. The market for 1964 D quarters in unique toned conditions is hotter than ever. For collectors, this is a lesson in patience and vision. Do not overlook coins with unusual toning or natural layers. What some may dismiss as discoloration is often the very trait that propels a coin into the spotlight of rarity. These brown layers are not flaws. They are the signature of survival, proof that this coin has lived through decades without losing its soul. In conclusion, the 1964 D Washington quarter with brown layers is not just a coin. It is a treasure chest in your hand, a legacy of silver, a farewell to an era, and a fortune condensed into one small piece of history. It's a reminder that the most valuable treasures are often hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone faithful, watchful, and curious enough to discover them. And that is why true coin value exists, to bring you these truths, these faithful stories of hidden wealth, updated daily, fresh from the world of numismatics. No fiction, no exaggeration, just real treasures, real history, and real opportunities. Stay tuned, we're not done yet. The next coin on our list will take everything you've seen so far and push it to the edge of shock and amazement. Believe me, you do not want to miss the final reveal. Next up, as we arrive at the final coin on our list, prepare yourself, because this one will shake the ground beneath your feet. The year was 1966, a year when America was in the heart of cultural revolutions. The Vietnam War was raging, the civil rights movement was rewriting history, and music, fashion, and technology were transforming the nation. In the midst of this turbulent era, the U.S. Mint was striking quarters, coins that to most people seemed ordinary, but one of them has gone on to become one of the most jaw-dropping treasures in the world of numismatics. Let's set the stage. The U.S. had removed silver from quarters just the year before, in 1965. From then on, quarters were no longer 90% silver, but clad in copper nickel. Collectors at the time mourned the end of an era, believing that the silver days were over and that modern quarters would never carry significant value. But history loves to surprise us. Because in 1966, among the millions of coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint, coins without any mint mark, one coin would survive to defy all expectations. This survivor is the 1966 Washington quarter without a mint mark, carrying a mysterious black dot on its obverse side. That tiny mark is no ordinary blemish. It's a signature of its journey, a story written in metal, a feature that makes it instantly recognizable to collectors. Combined with its very fine condition, it stands as one of the most unique and extraordinary modern quarters in existence. Think of it. Millions of 1966 quarters were struck, but almost all were spent, worn down, and forgotten. To find one in very fine condition is already rare. To find one with a unique obverse mark that makes it one of a kind, that is the stuff of legends. This coin is no longer just currency, it's a hidden treasure, a key to fortune, and a collector's dream. And now comes the part that takes this coin from rare to truly priceless in spirit. The current market value of this 1966 Washington quarter in very fine condition with its unique obverse black dot is a jaw-dropping $130,500. Yes, 130,500 US dollars for a coin most people would pass by as ordinary change. This is not speculation. This is real, verified in today's auction market. And the truth is, it's not slowing down. The value of this coin is climbing higher every year. Collectors are fighting harder than ever to secure unique modern quarters, and this piece, this 1966 survivor, is at the forefront of demand. Its price is not a peak. It is a beginning. And those who hold it are holding a treasure whose worth is destined to rise. For collectors, the lesson is clear. Never underestimate the modern issues. Never dismiss small marks or unique features, and never assume that value lives only in the oldest coins. The black dot on this quarter is not a flaw. It's the very soul of the coin, the fingerprint that has elevated it to an untouchable level of rarity. In conclusion, the 1966 Washington quarter, without a mint mark, carrying its distinct obverse black dot, is a big treasure in your pocket, a piece of history transformed into a fortune, a miracle of survival, and a legacy of value that grows richer with each passing day. It is proof that treasures still hide in plain sight, waiting for the faithful eye to recognize them. And here's the faithful truth. At True Coin Value, we bring you these revelations with trust, honesty, and daily updates. No fiction, no falsehoods, just the real treasures of numismatics shared with you so that you too can uncover wealth hidden in coins that the world thinks are ordinary. Now you've seen them, the 5 ultra-rare Washington quarters that are shaking the auction market today. From the 1973 D Survivor with obverse scrapes to the 1959 D with its historic brown spots, the 1986 D in crystal-clear condition, the legendary 1964 D with silver-toned layers, and finally, this 1966 black dot marvel, you now know the truth. Each of these coins is more than metal. Each is a story, a treasure, a miracle of survival. And who knows, the next great discovery could be sitting in your collection, your drawer, your pocket change. So stay tuned, because True Coin Value is here for you every single day, bringing faithful, trustful, and newly updated stories of treasure, wealth, and history hidden inside the coins we so often overlook.